My name is Neva Katsopoulos, and I would like to thank you all for attending the IEP conference. I've been the pleasure, and I've been in the service of this day for 5 years, so thank you very much for coming out. I am especially pleased to announce the keynote speaker for this afternoon, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about him. He is a Montreal Canadian fan, so I wore this in memory for him, okay? So 35 years ago, how many people remember what happened 35 years ago? Paul Henderson scored for Team Canada. And that's when our keynote speaker came to Canada. Sherali Najak cites the hockey gods as being responsible for his relocation to Canada and rise to the top job at CBC's Hockey Night in Canada. He was among 600 refugees to arrive in Canada in the fall of 1972 when millions were watching Mr. Henderson and Team Canada play the Soviet Union in the Summit Series. The family, when settled in Canada, watched Hockey Night in Canada, and he became a Montreal Canadian fan because of the team's success in the 1970s and its roster of stars. But I'm sure now that he's in Toronto, he's a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, right? He was not unlike any other Canadian kid out playing hockey and road hockey. At 14, he decided he wanted a career in television. He was watching a CFL show on the Hamilton Community Channel when he thought, that's something I can do. When studying broadcasting at Hamilton Mohawk College, he landed a job at CBC News World as a camera technician. A year later, at 19, he was directing overnight shows. When he graduated, he joined the network full-time in the news department. He was appointed the position of executive producer for the CBC Hockey Night in Canada in August 2007 after serving as a senior producer in 2002. He's a 20-year CBC veteran. He was also senior producer of the 2007 Olympic Winter Games in Torino, the 2004 Olympic Summer Games in Athens, the 2002 Olympic Winter Games in Salt Lake City, the NHL Awards Show, 1999, 2000, 2001, and the 2005 World Track and Field Championship in Helsinki, Finland. His contribution to the sporting program has been recognized with 4 Gemini Awards nominations, including a Gemini Award in 2004 for the Best Sports Program or Series category for his work on CBC Hockey Day in Canada, and a second Gemini Award in 2001 in the Best Living Sporting Event category for CBC Hockey Night in Canada's 50th anniversary. Please help me welcome Sherali Najak.
That's quite an intro. Thank you, Nev. Did you know that Nev's brother played in the NHL? So how about a hand for the Kostopoulos? So thanks very much for allowing me to speak to you today. I'm not trying to show off with the headset. They just didn't have a lav mic. So it's funny. I was here in the morning, and I thought, geez, I don't usually get nervous for speeches until whoever it was in the morning said, okay, half the room, if you have a PhD, raise your hand, and half the room raises their hand, and the other half of the room raises their hand when they have an MBA. And I'm sitting in the back saying, I'm the most underqualified person in this room. What am I doing here? It was kind of intimidating to be all in front of you. So all I can do is I'll share a little bit of my story with you and hopefully share and exchange some ideas that help me along the way. And I don't really say to get to where I am because I don't believe in titles. I don't believe in awards. I just believe in kind of being. And kind of who we are is I'm happy with that. So that's kind of winning and all these things and kind of going for it is, I understand it, but I find some peace at just kind of taking the journey as well. So maybe that's a little bit up there. You want to get some hard facts, and I'll try and give you that too. Let me go on a little bit about my story. I was born in Uganda and came here. Thank you. Wow. I didn't know you guys flew in this morning. Should have told me. So I was born in Uganda, came here in 1972, as Nev said, came here in October of that time. I have 7 sisters, and it's just me. Yeah, how about an applause for that? Thank you. That's good. And you know what? All of my sisters went to university. They went. They were all very focused and goal-oriented, and they wrote their goals down like everybody was telling me. And me, I was a dummy. Probably still am. So the odds were really against me. Can anybody relate to having the odds against you? Not it being a dummy, but the odds against you. So the odds were really against me. I didn't know what to do with my life. Nothing to hold on to. Everything I tried, they tell me, go somewhere else. You just don't have it here. Go do this, go do that. And look at me. You think I could play hockey? Like, I'm not the typical Constantopoulos there. With the Greek gods weren't good to me. So I was sitting around. My dad owned a variety store, like every Indian kid did. So we owned a variety store. I'm sitting reading the Hamilton Spectator, and there was an old tiger cat who volunteered at a cable station. And in the article, in the sports article, he said he volunteered at a cable station and did some camera work and things like that. I thought I could be a TV star. I thought that's cool. Let's check it out. So I've ended up volunteering at a local cable station in Hamilton, Cable 14. I didn't know what I was getting into, but what it allowed me to do is really kind of just take in the atmosphere. Take in a little bit of what people were doing there, just talking to people. And I've heard a lot about the elements of volunteering. That's where I started, volunteering. I just day and night volunteered there. I knew that's what I wanted to do. Anybody ever heard of the Hamilton Tiger Cats? They're a CFL team down the road, and I showed up there was a game happening, and it was after a football game. And now, I was a sports fan, but I'm not like a sports guru or anything like that. So it's not like something that I was proficient in. It was, you can relate to this if you just watch regular highlights or something like that on TV. I go up to the guard at Ivor Wynne Stadium, and I said, I'm just with the TV crew there. And they looked at me and said, yeah, sure, you're lying, but go ahead. So I went in, and I went up to the television mobile, and I said, who's in charge here? And they said, well, it's this guy here. So I went up to a television producer named Lawrence Kimber, who was an executive producer at CBC, lots of titles, really great guy. And I said, sir, I'm in television school. I'm 16 years old, and I really just want to sit in this television mobile. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And I just want to be here during a game. He said, gave me the card. He said, call me back, kid. We're back in Labor Day in September. So it was like 1985 or 1986. I gave him a call. I was nervous the whole summer because I had this card with me, carried it around because it was my dream come true just to meet this man, just to sit in a mobile. I call him up. He says, yes, come on by. Your pass will be in the truck. They call it the truck, the television mobile. I went in, I watched people do this game, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I was lucky that I was able to get that opportunity to see what it was, and just the pressure and all of the directing and the producing and the yelling and live television in trucks. It was fascinating to me, and I had nothing else. So it worked out for me. What ended up developing is a real passion for work. And I know all of you can relate to that. What was tough for me, though, is jobs. It was tough. Like television. And everybody at that time wanted to get into television. Communications was a tough business, let alone from a kid from Uganda. It was a lot, the odds were really against me on that front. So I didn't really think about any of that, though. I was very much, basically growing up in this country, I was very much colorblind. It didn't matter to me where I was from or what I was doing or whether I could skate or not. I just loved hockey. I loved people. I loved meeting people and talking to people, and I love television. I started off, I ended up volunteering more. I got into Mohawk College in Hamilton, Ontario. This is a funny story. You'll get a kick out of this. I go to my first year. I apply at the CBC. Everybody heard of the CBC? Right? So CBC Sports, it was my dream to come true to work there. I kept applying. There was a third-year student there, And he said, what are you doing this summer? I said, I'm going to apply at the CBC. I've been applying for like weeks, and hopefully I'll get in. And he said, kid, you don't get into the CBC. I'm in third year. I don't get into the CBC. You don't get into the CBC. I said, okay, well, I'm sorry. I'll let you know if I do, but, you know, what am I going to do? So anyway, I ended up getting a call. I got into the CBC. I was a tape gopher. I lugged around. I drove the trucks around. I was a librarian, did anything and everything that could be done. It was a dream come true to work in Toronto, living in Hamilton. I didn't even know how I was getting there. I applied for every single job that I didn't even want, couldn't even do, and I heard that earlier today too. I shot wedding videos and stuff too. Like these, Hamilton's big into Italians and Greeks. Shot wedding videos. I didn't know what I was doing, just kind of did it, honed the skill, but showed up on time. Made an effort, was very respectable to what was around me, and really tried to learn. And I teach some school classes now where I talk about the power of listening. In this room, if you think I have the most power in this room, I suggest to you that it's incorrect. One thing I say to a lot of the people that I'm in the classes with, and it's a different thing, I know, but I suggest to them that the person that has the most power in the room is the person that's listening the most, because they're really taking in the most. I do find with the kids these days as well, there is no focus on each other. Either we're reading a BlackBerry or texting or something, but that element of focusing on each other and not thinking about what we're going to say before the person's finishing talking just doesn't exist. I've been in situations like that where somebody's telling me this great story that they're proud about, and I'm already thinking about lunch, or I'm thinking about what I'm going to say to them. Anybody ever go through that? I found that the power of listening really helped me, because it was a simple thing, but I was able to get more out of it than maybe some of the other people around me, because I was willing to listen. I know it's a cliche, and I know, make sure you listen, but the power in a room really goes to the person listening the most. It also, usually what I found lately in the corporate world, is it goes to the most negative person in the room. And that's been tough to kind of get over at the corporate world, but we'll see. So I worked at CBC in 1988 or something. I worked my first year. I graduated from, I was first year Mohawk College. I went to CBC. I'm working there in summer. I get a call in August. And it was my professor in Mohawk College in Hamilton, and he says, listen, Sherali, you're, great that you're working at CBC, but your marks weren't good enough. You were too focused on working last year, so you failed. I suggest you look for a different line of work. I said, okay. This was my dream. I just got into the CBC. Everything's going well, and you're telling me to look for another line of work? Like I said, the odds just again and again stacked up against me. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be here. So I said, okay, I'll figure things out. You know what? I want to go back to school. I told you I was a dummy. It just didn't work out. So I go back to the CBC and I said, look, I'm available in September. I'm not going back to school right now. And they gave me some work. And I said, I got to finish my school. I went back. I redid my first year of college, which, it was a humbling experience. And I know that many people can relate to going through some humbling times and doing things that you weren't planning